Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 10th to the 16th of January 2022. The big news this week is we're heading towards the Mercury Retrograde. So from the 29th of December to the 14th of January, we're in the awareness phase. And then 14 Jan to 4 Feb is the retrograde, and 4 Feb to 24 Feb is the direct phase again. So we are already in the awareness phase of the Mercury retrograde in the signs of Capricorn and Aquarius. This is interesting because we've had a couple of years where we're transitioning from Capricorn kind of energy to Aquarian kind of energy to begin a whole new way of being. And Capricorn represents the structure which can support us, our core strength, our authenticity and our dignity, but also where structure is limiting and where we need to move forwards into more Aquarian ways of being, and where we need to break free from external support into sovereign and liberated energies when structures and traditions have served us but aren't going to take us forwards. So with this largely happening in the Aquarian side, Aquarian thinking, with Mercury being our processing mind, is largely about being able to see the bigger picture, the bigger vision. So our thinking gets very calcified. If we think the same thought lots of times, that actually embeds that neural pathway, and it's very hard to think differently. So have a look at this point of your thinking habits. How do you think? What do you think about? And are you able to think differently? To seek a wider perspective? To raise perspective and see things differently. This will be different for each of us depending on where this is happening in our chart, but it could bring in some confusion, some shock revelation, some sudden changes, and require a great deal of humour and mental flexibility. But largely flashes of insight, new ideas, new thought processes, mastery of the mind. So it's not just running on autopilot, but being able to actually use the mind as a valuable tool for truth and clarity. And also we might be able to have a look forward with this aspect to the energies that we're walking into and start to sniff the breeze and see the way that things are going as a whole. So that comes in on the 14th, but before then we've actually got a bit of a warm-up, because on the 13th we've got Mercury square Uranus. So you'll remember last year we had 3 examples of Saturn square Uranus, and a square is a difficult, challenging aspect. But with Mercury squaring off to Uranus just before turning retrograde, here what we've got is the processing mind and the higher mind, the bigger vision, the genius, consciousness, higher awareness. So I feel that this will actually be the launch pad to start us challenging our smaller thought processes, to help us use our mind for greater things, to help us be more present to the thinking process as a whole and what that's actually manifesting in our lives. So a real study of the mind here for the next couple of weeks. What are you thinking? Why are you thinking it? What does it mean? Is it true? Is it helping? Is it seeing the whole picture? And a chance with the Capricorn aspect of this to break free of certain mental prisons, limiting beliefs, negative behaviour patterns, and attain that sovereign liberty that 2022 is all about. So that's Thursday the 13th for the square of Mercury Uranus, and then Friday the 14th for the beginning of the retrograde phase. So it's all about raising consciousness, realising who you are. You're not a separate struggling being, trapped in a body, having an isolated experience. You don't have to take everything from the past personally and too seriously and make a story of it that you then call your personality and belong to. The way to get out of these systems is to not agree at all with any of that. So Uranus and Aquarius together have that rebellious nature, that I'm not going to comply. I'm not going to limit myself. I'm not going to believe in some of these negative thoughts or wrong perceptions. But I'm going to claim my power and my authenticity and my uniqueness. There's a sense of uniqueness with Aquarius as well. So over the next couple of weeks we'll probably take ourselves apart because we need to let go of the old. But as I've said before, you are not the sum of your experiences taken personally. That's what most people are walking around thinking that they are. This happened in childhood, that happened at school, that happened in early relationships. This always seems to happen to me. I'm the one that. We need to get rid of all of that kind of habitual, negative and limited thinking. We need to delete the personality story, victimhood and little me, and start to see ourselves as souls that have returned to earth for a purpose. You've been here many lifetimes, you've set yourself a purpose in this lifetime. You're here for something so much bigger than survival or self-judgment or getting by. And from that vantage point, if you set the tone of that as your day every morning, visualize your soul returning to earth with a sense of excitement and purpose, then that will be the way that you can let go of any sedimented story that's built up. Once we stop believing in something, it stops being true, it stops happening, it stops repeating. And if you want to break any negative habits, then go back to the first time that you took that situation personally and seriously, and actually ask, what did I want to learn from this? Because a story and a lesson will keep repeating until you take responsibility for what it is that you called in there and what you wanted to learn from it. So a couple of weeks of real mastery, breaking free and liberation with the assistance of Aquarius and the challenge of Uranus, saying, are you going to live your sovereign life? Are you going to find your pulse, your potential and your purpose, and stop complying to these limiting mental prisons, societal beliefs that were never meant to empower you but only meant to keep you in the box? So once we attend to that with conscious awareness rather than trying to avoid it, then this can be a slow and steady workshop in self-mastery that by the time we get to the third phase, which is the 4th to the 24th of February, you'll start to see the rewards and the results of that. You won't recognise yourself having done all of that work, because we're coming into a year of magic and manifestation. But we're at the point in the Great Wheel of Life, which is 26,000 year cycle, where we're manifesting very quickly now, but out of fear as well as love. So we need to go in and delete the fears so that we can centre on manifesting from a place of love. And it will always be the mind that creates fear, and love will always be found in the very centre, the heart centre and presence. So the reason that we're going to go hard into this Mercury retrograde is to clear the field so that we can be responsible for what we're transmitting from the heart and start to be the real magical manifestors that we are. We also have Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter will be in Pisces and tipping into Aries and back into Pisces this year. And this is a very embracing energy compared to the active mental energy of Mercury retrograde. So Jupiter is your majesty. If we want to get free of the victim, then we become the king or queen of our world. So as we go back and delete the stories that have built up that says poor me, and realise that we've taken that way too far forwards and we just wanted to learn the lesson and grow, then Jupiter and Pisces is connected to the all, to source. It's immersing back into the waters of where we came from, our all potential. So combined with the Mercury retrograde, this is an opportunity to go from the calcified material limitations to swimming in the ocean of all potential. So as you're on this process, see if you can connect with your king or queen archetype, which will help delete the victim and help make this process easier. By the weekend we have the Sun Conjunct Pluto, so the Sun and Pluto together, and this is an all-powerful ending to the week. We're not going to act upon it with intention because we're in the retrograde phase, but you can connect to your resolute self. Really use this alchemically to let go of those past stories. Burn away the weight, the density, the heaviness, the prison bars, and rise up from the ashes into a new and free, light and bright energy. So pretty clear instructions this week with the Mercury square from lower mind to higher mind. Start to use your mind for what it's meant for. Allow the bigger perspective. Allow your full expression. Allow your uniqueness. Watching the mind during the retrograde to observe what we're tuning into, what we're thinking, what we're acting upon, what we're creating, what we're communicating, and whether that needs a thorough overhaul. And letting go of the past with the Sun Pluto conjunction at the weekend. That one could be ritualized if you're ready to let go of any density, blocks, limitations, aspects of your life that you've outgrown, and spread your cosmic wings. If you'd like to see where this is happening for you, I am available one-to-one for readings, learning your chart, lessons, and coaching sessions. If you've got any limitations you'd like some help getting rid of, then please do email me zoehines7@gmail.com. Many other videos on this YouTube channel, Zoeastro. So there's a video for each planet, each sign, and a whole series transcending the negative mind. And I recommend that you do either listen to some of those or go back every month and re-listen to some of those, as they have practical tips and tricks for each month of the year according to the zodiac sign that the sun is in. So the big picture seems to be that as we come through to the middle of March, we'll be in a more active phase, having made these inner recalibrations, and that's probably when we'll be doing the looking forwards and the planning part of our year. But for now, it's all about letting go of any last blocks, changing perspective to become all that you are, connecting with your true essence, and getting ready for some very vibrant, magical manifestation powers to come flooding in. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week.